there's a picture, I don't know about the
There
voice.
you go,
Jordan, will you
boss.
say something to see if it's going through the owl?
The owl, was the owl working last night? I don't think it was.
I'm here, sorry.
Yeah, see, the owl's not working, what is going on?
The
hoot-
video's doing it, but not the audio?
Right,
Okay,
and the hoot hoot eyes are on, so,
weird.
I know, I don't know what's going on. All these committee people keep messing around with it. Say something now. No,
How come there's 3 of these?
I think there are 3 boxes.
yep, I'd say there's 3 boxes.
So how does it work? We sign this and then the boxes go to the Secretary of State?
They get sealed, they're already sealed, and this goes on the top.
Right, yep.
Sticky
Yep.
to it. And I think we keep them in our safe.
And then we keep them here for a while, but then they eventually, well, somebody has to bring them to Concord, I think.
I think the
But I
state
don't,
police do, but I'm not sure.
Emily's a better person
It's
to ask that
changed over
question
the
to, but
years.
yes.
Because they used to go right down
That night,
that night.
I
Yeah.
remember the police used to have to bring them
Yeah.
down that night.
The policeman that has to be there till the end would then load him in his car and
Mhm.
all the way to Concord. And then the next version was to Hanover, and then someone in Hanover would take them the rest of the way, so it was.
Interesting, I mean, I wondered how that happened, it's clearly somebody needs to keep their eye on
Physically.
that box. the
That's
whole
right.
way.
Yes, yes. We have, I think, 1 minute to go. This is exciting.
Exciting,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're so
I don't know if
excited.
you noticed, but looking through the election returns for the state of New Hampshire, the town of Lyme was the most liberal town in the state. We had the highest percentage for both Kelly,
Yeah.
Joyce Craig and for Kamala
Kamala
Harris
Harris,
Oh, yeah.
of any town in the state, followed closely by Hanover, but
Yeah,
we were the tip of the spear.
well, it has kind of changed that way over the years, but,
I think there were 173 Republican votes and 1,000 and something Democratic votes.
yeah, that's interesting. And turnout was
For which office?
For president.
just amazing.
There were a
And
lot
what
of
did they
ticket
say?
splitters. Because,
Yes.
Judy and I counted that night as well as being a ballot clerk.
Like ticket splitters, you mean people who voted Democrat for president? or
Kamala Harris,
Republican?
Kelly AI.
Yeah.
Or like that.
Yeah, they're probably people who don't want to see a sales or a income tax imposed or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it will ever change. It's been that way many years.
If we cannot figure out something that returns more money to the towns for schools, I don't know what we do.
Well,
We
and
just spend more money and the schools get more money and it costs you more money.
That was the conversation last night, by
You
gosh.
lose control as soon as it goes to Concord, and they'll spend it just as easily as we do.
well, and you know, Vermont's in that same
We're in
boat.
the same pickle and
We
they,
get
yeah.
an agenda, a copy of an agenda.
I have one, do you want
We
one?
can't do much better here.
I printed one at home, so
Okay,
I can
thank
do
you.
this.
Every once in a while I say, Mrs. Fendrick ran a class of 35 kids in New York City, in Brooklyn, with every attitude it was possible to get in the class, from complete compliance to kids climbing over the desk, and she managed. I mean.
Did she have a big ruler?
She had a window pole.
That's better.
And
Okay,
threatened people.
Judy, could I just take one moment and tell the other people here, these are experimental hearing aids, they're AirPods, I am not listening to music, I am paying attention to the proceedings.
Well, we can think what we like.
yes.
You didn't have an opportunity to avoid, and you just announced it.
Something for your pen.
Okay, it is 10:02 and I will open the meeting. And first on our agenda is public comment. And we have 2 public with us, and then I don't think we have any public comment.
No,
This is catching on.
just Jordan, if she wants
Hi,
to say
Jordan.
something.
So let's start with Rich. Do you wish to say something at this point?
So, where's a good place to continue the discussion about the evaluation?
that will be
process.
coming up.
Good, thank you.
And Phil,
Just with Jordan's request, I've done some review of the website and have talked with her about where we might go from here, and I've mentioned it to Dina, and so updating it more frequently or seeing what the company that runs it are contracted to do is in development.
excellent, thank you. As some folks know, that is a concern of mine, I share as well. It's-
I've got a public comment too.
Yes, well, Ben,
Brother, John Bigelow posted that he was alarmed about our tax increases. And so Debbie did a little spreadsheet. And our tax increases are going about 10% a year, which is not sustainable.
right,
And it's largely to do with the school. But we need to make that clear and speak it loud and let the town know that we're impacting other services by spending as much as we do on the school. And it's not that every child shouldn't get an education, but $1 does not equal to that much brighter school kid. So that's
okay.
just my kind. 10% a year, gonna double your taxes real fast. That
Yes.
compounds just like the money in the bank.
So, since we don't have others here, last night at the budget committee, in presenting the budget, we noted that the town's side of the budget this year is up about 9 point something, it's close to 10%.
Which we should lower to 3%.
Okay. You and I will have to get together and work on that, but we also made the comment at that time that in the past, the town's budget has scrimped and saved in order to have the money for the school projects, and that last year's big project, which I'm not saying it wasn't needed, but I'm speaking to.
I'll say it.
It took a lot of money, and this year's tax rate for the bills that just came out is the result of the town side not buying down the tax rate, and that's actually what people voted last year. So, there was a lot of discussion on that. Do you wanna add to that, Dina?
Well, no, not to that, cause you hit the nail on the head there, although I thought it was a great discussion last night, it really was. Jordan and I are putting together some figures, cause there has been some questions about the increase in taxes and also specifically the increase in the municipal section of the tax rate, because it is a big one this year. It's like a 23% increase, although for the last 4 years, we've had a negative prior to that. So it's interesting when you look at those numbers. But we are pulling together some because it's, setting the tax rate is a confusing thing.
Right,
And I think that, I'm trying to figure out a way to put all the information into a easier format. And, you know, many factors go into this. It's not just what our assessed value is, it's what our revenues are, it's what our exemptions, and our exemptions have gone up
they've gone
because
up.
of the changes.
yeah,
So
and
there's
the
more.
aging, just even without the changes with the community aging, it would, they
Correct,
would have also
that's
gone up.
right, and then you add in that we upped everything,
Mhm.
which I'm not saying we shouldn't have, but, you know, it all factors in. And again, it's not an easy formula, so
Yeah,
that's what we're working on.
So-
Yeah, Ben, in response to your desire to see the budget only go up 3%, you know, we've had inflation for the past 3 or 4 years. It's running, I think, a bit higher than that. And if you take somebody's salary and don't increase it, or increase it 3%, and you're running inflation at 5 or 6 or 8%, basically what you're doing is, in real terms, is giving them a pay cut. And that's a hard thing to, you know, it's not like our municipal employees are living high on the hog to begin with.
No, I don't have any problem with employee pay, but we've had requests for new fire trucks, new
Yeah, I agree
pickup
with that.
trucks, new.
So if we can take maybe a half an hour during this meeting with the budget and go through and look to see what you would propose, I am sure that the budget committee would welcome that thought, and I am happy to
Well,
present it.
you know, I haven't gone over it close enough yet, but I do sit here and listen to everybody's wants. And
Yeah.
over the years, I've listened to all the, you know, we've given tax breaks to just about everybody in town, in terms of what were we just talking about?
Hardship,
Exemptions
hardship
and
Yeah,
abatements.
abatements,
Hardship
yeah.
abatements and, yeah.
So, and once you give them, they don't come back and pay taxes after that. They get their abatement and then they have it for life.
Mm.
We don't review anybody's,
Well, the hardship ones
No,
are
the
for
hardship-
1
well,
year.
the elderly one,
The elderly ones,
yeah,
well, yes, they do, we have to review their information,
yeah.
but they're not gonna grow younger, so, you know, they're always gonna be there.
Oh, if
And then-
only we could discover that.
And then they go up as they get older.
Well,
which-
what I'm just saying is, as everybody wants more, there's reasons why, there ought to be a little bit of pain in that process of wanting more.
Well, and as I think we talked briefly last night, or I tried to say was that, you know, part of this board's purview is to look at what all the wants are, which are on the department budget requests on the spreadsheet, and then try and nibble away at the corners and where there are big things, like maybe an extra truck that we don't need, or an extra fire engine waiting for a few more years, or whatever that we can find that we think we can cut, then our budget that we present to the town at town meeting should reflect working between the department and the select board and the town people. And I think that's, you know, if we can come to some consensus on where we wanna take some big steps, reading things out, I sure would welcome that, cause I know I can't afford to live here much longer with the way that the taxes are increasing. So it's, you were at the meeting last night, what do you think?
I did think it was good. I thought Vince Burke did a nice job of
Question.
being crusty and not unpleasant.
Right.
Yes,
To the
And
point.
saying, wait a minute, this is a lot, and what's going on, and, you know, and I think he said, he made an important point. It's not his job to know how to tell the town to make changes,
right,
but it is appropriate for the budget committee to say, this is all we can expect. And so,
yes,
you know, you folks have to figure out what to do, and then obviously the very same speech happens for the school board to say, we have a great school, we have
Right.
a terrific school. This is the amount that we're willing to
Yeah.
spend, and I'm not an educator.
Unfortunately, we don't, we're the smaller part of the budget, we're not
Right.
the one that drives these
but
big
if
increases.
we stick to our
But we
guns
should be able to make a statement.
and come up with a number,
Mhm.
which the budget committee has not done,
Mhm.
and in past years, they have hesitated to do that.
I gotta say, I feel, you know, I went to the school board meeting where this, what was it, $2.5 million bond was passed, and listening to them talk about spending $100,000 on a new front door. It's like, is it made of platinum? And
From the Golden Toilets Company.
you know, and their ask for the $2.5 million bond was, well, you know, we need electronic sensors in all the windows so we know if somebody leaves a window open. And people voted for that overwhelmingly. Well, if you wanna spend money, you gotta pay the money that you're spending. And from my perspective, look, it's a democracy, people get to decide if they wanna spend that money, and they, at the school board meeting overwhelmingly decided that they did wanna spend that money, but it seems crazy to me that the town municipal budget, which is a small fraction of what the school is, that we would do backflips to try to not spend money that we actually need to spend to keep the town running, in order to buffer the effect of what I regard as profligate spending on the school side. If people wanna vote for those kind of things, they should feel the consequence, that they should, the consequences of that should be apparent on their tax bill, I think.
I don't look at it that way. You know, there's other ways of letting them feel that. You know, if we hold back on some spending on the town level, the services are gonna decline, and then they're gonna wonder how come they don't have the services. And that's due to the fact that the school spent all the money. There's only so much people can take. You can't punish people for what the school is spending.
It's not punishing, it's just.
Yes, it is.
It's just,
I understand your reasoning, but I don't think it's good reasoning.
Well, there was a,
be one of
No,
the
I
rare
probably
cases
can't
where we
find it.
disagree, perhaps.
Well, I don't think, you know, Dina's gotta live in this town too, Judy's gotta live in this town, and if we do that, all we do is spend more.
Yeah, but I don't wanna take the people who are working here and you
Well,
know,
that's what
hold
you-
back on their
But
cost
that's-
of living increases in
Yeah, but
order to
there's other-
buffer the fact that people are spending money hand over fist on the school side. That doesn't seem right to me.
Well, I don't see that, what we're paying our employees is the big part of the problem. I mean, I'll speak to the fire engines, just because they don't get any mileage, doesn't mean we should replace them as often as we replace
I
them.
agree with
And
that.
they cost a bloody fortune.
Agree with that.
and
You
they're
know,
gonna
the highway
cost more.
department beats their trucks to death, and by the time they're ready to get replaced, they need to be replaced, they're ready for the scrap heap. And there's a big difference there.
Yep, I agree with that. Speak of the devil.
Perfect timing.
If I may, you know, I think, I wonder if there is a demographic divide between the school district meeting and the town meeting.
Oh,
There
definitely.
And I wonder what it would take to have them both stuffed back into the same day. I know nobody liked it because it went on and on
That's
and
right.
on. But if it did cause all those people to rub shoulders and say, wait a minute, you're gonna spend what on what? You know, I was there at the school district meeting and just sailed through.
Yeah, and there's people in there saying, you know, nothing's too good for our kids.
And they're not getting that pushback from the rest of the town. So, just in case you were running short of things to think about.
Something else to stay awake at
Right.
night, mulling over. However, I mean, and that's been suggested several times, actually, every few years that comes up.
Yeah.
And we've done it on the same day, and then we have to discuss who goes first, who goes second. Then we've done it on a Saturday, which actually, in my opinion, that was the worst day to do it, because if you have 2 days off a week and you have kids, you're out of there. And everybody else, you know, we work hard and there aren't enough days where you don't work hard, so it's worth discussion
This is
and,
why you get paid the big bucks.
and we're
Sorry.
worth every penny.
I'm sorry, I didn't, yes. I
Well,
mean,
my point is that we should be vocal with the fact that the school spending is driving the increase in taxes. In my lifetime in town, on at least 2 occasions, I've seen the public rise up and defeat the school budget, hands down. And in those days, it wasn't, when those budgets got out of control and the people finally felt it, they didn't show up 2 and 3, they showed up 250 strong and defeated the school budgets. And that will happen again, you know, that if this uncontrolled spending from the school continues, people start leaving town because they can't afford to pay their taxes. And these taxes are gonna double in less than, probably about 5 years, compounding.
Yeah, I like the idea of one day, cause some people are there all day anyway, the voting is open all day, so if people, of course, I've advocated for a long time, this is my liberal side, that should be a paid holiday for everyone. If you show up and vote, you should get, your employer should be mandated to pay you for the day, and then you should be mandated to check in and stay for town and school meeting. If they were the same day, you got the day off, but it's paid, you don't lose anything. You have no excuse not to go. But I
Good
haven't,
luck on that.
I haven't seen anyone pick up
I think
that
in
torch.
Australia, it's required that you vote.
Yeah, there are places where it's required, but then again. So let's, let's move along.
The new administration is actually proposing making voting day a paid day off.
No way.
Yeah.
I agree with the new administration on something.
I'll get you a red hat.
Liberal.
Don't tell Harvey.
Jeez.
I won't be able to go home.
Well,
Let's-
I figured out why the Hispanic vote went to Trump. They're all got MAGA hats, so they wouldn't be deported.
Okay, let's move
Okay, yeah,
along.
let's move along.
Scott, can you help us out?
I think I better delete that part of that
And they're gonna sell,
recording.
they're gonna be selling them in Mexico.
Rich, are you okay there?
I'm fine, go
Okay.
ahead.
I know I'm balking you.
That's okay, I'll listen really carefully.
His video camera is getting everything, he can go looking through the.
Yes,
viewfinder
that's right.
if He needs to see it.
So Scott, talk to us.
So, I wanna talk about the 1 tons,
Okay,
the 550s. Did you guys did they get a input on that, didn't
We did get something.
We did, I looked through all of that stuff,
they?
although,
Okay.
because they were from different companies, it's a little hard to compare from one to the other. I was hoping
Well,
you'd,
the truck is the cabin chassis from Fort Clermont.
yeah, I couldn't quite follow what's going on
Okay,
there, so.
and Viking Curves, the 74,700, that's for the body, plow, wing.
Okay, so these are all for the same vehicle,
vehicle.
but you buy the vehicle one place and then you get work done it in another place to make it suitable for what we need?
Correct.
Okay.
My biggest thing is, we're keeping the ton trucks too long. 10 years, it's too long.
And
The-
what is the consequence of keeping them too long?
The money.
So you spend more money on it?
Repair.
The breakdowns, if we could get them on a 7-year schedule, we can buy that 7-year, 75,000 mile warranty for $4,630. And that covers, it's a premium. Which I mean, it covers
Everything.
everything, except for wear and tear.
So that's the payments, Scott?
No, that's how much the extended warranty is,
Ah, okay,
4,000, which is cheap.
thank you.
Just give them a quick rundown, I don't know what the repair expenses have been on those trucks past 7 years.
I don't have it in front
I
of me
know,
right now,
but
but
just
it's
off your cuff. The
I
kind
mean,
of bills
so
that you've had.
one year we had, I think it was last year, I think we had like over $13,000 in just the one truck.
Yeah.
But it's, even the truck we have right now, the newer one, the 19, we're starting to run into the issues with that. I mean, it's gonna be, the 1 tons, I can't afford to be without them when it comes to winter. I mean, they do a lot. And it's getting to the point where a lot of these garages do not have the diesel mechanics to work on. You can make an appointment today, you're looking at a month to get in. I mean, we're fortunate, we know somebody that can work on them, so, to an extent. But I mean, we're looking at, for just one truck, we're looking at $150,000.
Now, you've got a truck coming, right?
Wait a second,
Oh,
if I
okay.
could just follow up on that, so you say $150,000, and that includes all of the costs and the extended warranty?
Yep,
The extended warranty runs for how many years?
7 years.
Oh, so you'd be covered for the entire time?
That's,
Right.
that's why I wanted to, they're on a 10-year right now, that's why. I don't know why they never had extended warranties been on before, but that's why I want to.
Well,
I
and
mean, I
even,
think it'd be in the best interest for the town.
even then, if you get beyond the extended warranty, if the truck's still looking like it's okay, and you could keep it an extra year or two if you needed to, and,
Right, I mean, the thing is, right now, the body companies, I tried to call in to get an exact, but it could be longer than this. The body companies are 2 years out right now.
Right.
So you have a truck that was a flatbed.
Yeah, you
Wouldn't help
you have
much.
nothing.
Yeah,
They're 2 years.
And you know what, we need to finish those numbers, and we started them, but, in the last 3 years of the truck's life with us, I know those repair numbers are the important ones.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one that's been a lemon, but, so that's kind of not fair to use that one, but, you know, we use the other, 2 other ones in the past. So I'll have Jordan finish that, because that would be,
The biggest
it's
thing
gonna
is
be well worth it.
the emissions, the new emissions, I mean, you're limited, I mean,
the emission standards.
yeah, I mean, they
And
they
working
fail
on-
all the time.
Right.
So,
wait, could you elaborate on what you mean? So, that you have to take the truck to get inspected every year?
no, you have to take, every time you have an emissions problem, you gotta take it somewhere, they gotta plug it on.
How do you know you have an emissions problem?
The engine light will come on,
Okay,
they'll degrade,
got it. So the truck self-senses and then
exactly.
you take it in and that's gotta be fixed.
I mean, right now, we have, the only thing that we have warranty on is the backhoe extended, and the new truck supposed to be coming within the next week,
So
that's it.
specifically, what are you requesting or proposing, Scotty? Would you wanna get one new truck right now? Or?
I would like to look in at replacing at least one. I'd like to look into replacing both 1 ton.
How many one-ton trucks does this
2.
town? We has 2.
We have 2,
What are their ages?
one's a 16, one's a 19.
So the 19 is still relatively new, but it doesn't benefit from an extended warranty. But the
The
16,
retail on that right now, to sell it, you could probably get some pretty good money for them.
On the 19th.
That's the other thing about trading at
Sure.
7 years, when you rotate them in, it's the trade-in value is much, much higher
Than
than it is in
10.
10.
Yeah.
Mhm.
okay.
I mean, theoretically, the 16 still got 2 more years before
Judy,
it's not gonna make it 2 more years. I mean, really, I mean,
Yeah, yes, dear.
when, what's this paid out of? If we
Comes
wanted
from
to
the-
propose buying a new truck,
Comes from the capital reserve fund through a warrant article at town meeting.
so we have to ask for that at town meeting and.
Yep. Bill,
I
do you wanna?
have the trust fund balances here. The Vehicle Capital Reserve Fund has $622,000 in it. The Emergency Equipment Repair Fund has about 32,000. I think those are the
Those are the most relevant ones.
Heavy equipment has about $67,000
There
in
was
it.
something else that was coming out of a capital reserve fund that we've been talking about the last meeting or two. Do you remember what that was? Was it the fire truck?
Property
or-
reassessment.
Well, yeah, that's a different one.
Oh, the property
but
reassessment,
Yeah,
okay.
That is one,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was also a
But
fire
that's a
truck.
different,
It's a
Something
different
different,
fund,
but,
yeah.
yeah.
Pot of money.
yeah, your vehicle capital reserve fund is just not healthy enough to think about buying fire trucks, and even, it needs some
So-
sprucing up.
Sort of a segue, but staying on point, we have a really large truck, which I don't know how big it is, but nobody likes. Are we gonna jettison that for something that is better for the town?
First,
'Cause
tell
Tish-
us what that is.
It's, Weston Sarah, the all-wheel drive.
And it's not a one-ton, what's its
It's
capacity?
a 5-ton.
5 ton.
it's a
You don't like it,
six-wheel.
you don't use it?
Oh, we use it, it's just, it's big. And you can talk to anybody, I mean, it's not a matter of if the front ends are gonna go in them, it's a matter of just when.
And it's,
Um,
I thought I had also heard it's really too big for most of our roads.
It's big, it's a big, I mean, it's,
So we're using that truck, well, all these trucks are being used principally to plow snow in the winter? Is that the main use to which they're put?
yes.
And then the other item came up last night, the excavator,
Yeah.
which is, people last night, somebody questioned whether or not it had been a good purchase. I know it was before your time. Is that something we could think about, trading in on
I mean, you could think about it, but
or selling
It's-
outright?
you're not gonna get much anything for it. I
What's-
mean, you're gonna lose.
Well,
Is
first
it-
of
is
all,
it-
before we talk about trading it in, do you use it, do you wanna keep it?
I do use it, put in culverts. I can rent a machine to put in culverts too. The only nice thing about that is it has the hammer on it.
Our machine does.
Yeah, to the compactor. I mean, you take like a tornado we got, for example. I mean, it was handy to have that. I mean, we used that for 2 days.
Mhm.
Wait, I don't know what the tornado is. Is that a different piece of
No.
equipment?
No,
No,
the tornado, they came.
Oh, the tornado that came through town, okay. Yeah, so, look, if
I
the
mean, it's-
excavator is useful and you use it, then why, we should keep it, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, we have it and it's paid for.
okay.
I mean, but the other thing is, I've been looking at them online and they're not bringing anything.
What make and model is it?
It's a Volvo.
Large, small, sort of mid-size?
It's mid-size. It's, you should have one a little bit smaller, but
But you're able to use it, so that answers that question that came up last night.
that's, I mean, we own it.
Yeah.
And when we talked about, taking it off the list, cause it was on the heavy equipment. And, my thing is to just run it until it don't run anymore. I mean,
Okay, yeah, use it,
and
use
not,
it up.
and not replace it. I mean, I was always one to, that was before we had 4 people,
Mm-hmm,
a good crew.
yes,
Before we hire somebody to put in culverts. And to me, that was great, cause you got an excavator and you got a guy running it. Which, to me, that was cheaper, but.
yeah. just needed that answer.
I can't go backwards.
So,
Thank you.
the big 5-ton truck, you wanna keep or you wanna sell? What's your position, what do you wanna do?
I mean, I'd sell it, but we need to replace it, and
What would you replace it with, another 5-ton truck or
a
a?
5-ton,
Normal one.
normal 5-ton truck.
So what's the difference between this 5-ton truck and the one you would replace it with?
It's all-wheel drive,
Our existing truck
the
is.
5, yes, it's all-wheel drive, it's just, I'm just afraid it's gonna cost the town. Eventually, it's gonna cost the town wicked money.
It's also much bigger than
It
a
is.
Fairline.
It's
or is it
higher.
Fairline,
It's not.
Whatever.
So even though the rated hauling capacity is the same, the non-all-wheel drive 5-ton trucks are smaller and more suited to the
Do
kind of work.
job.
Hmm?
Well,
They do the job.
Yeah.
And
they were hauling into your place, I mean, Caleb was running that, I mean, he, you know, he has to jig a lot more with that than the regular trucks, I mean.
And when you meet that truck on the road, it's a whole lot different than meeting the other ones.
By the other ones, you mean the
Bigger.
1-ton or the?
No,
No,
the
the
regular,
normal-
the
normal
others,
5-ton.
770s or whatever they are, 7500s.
Okay.
I don't know that we're gonna get out of that one easily.
I mean, you're gonna lose your,
Doesn't matter what we do.
What
we're
year
gonna
is
lose
it?
our
When did
shirt.
we buy it?
4 years ago, 5 years ago?
yeah, I think it was a 20.
I was
There's
gonna
no
say it's
warranty
19
on
or
it,
20.
there's nothing, I've already put in, I've already probably put 10,000 into that, just in the last.
But
But
also,
before
you
we-
don't know that you won't get anything for it because
Well, I don't,
we haven't
I
really
don't, we
checked.
haven't,
Because it wasn't a serious thing that he was thinking about doing. But we can,
Well,
we have
look, you
some
have
connections.
a bunch of things that you're suggesting and thinking about, but it's hard for me as a select board member to evaluate this because it's a little scattershot. So really, I think what I'd like to see from you is a strategic plan for what we wanna do with our vehicles. You know, where you come to us and you say, I wanna buy a 1-ton this year, here's the approximate cost. I wanna get rid of the existing 5-ton and replace it with a new 5-ton. I wanna do that next year, here's what that's gonna cost.
that was what today's meeting was totally about. I wanted to talk about the 1-tons and, you know, but I know stuff was brought up at the budget meeting last night.
I'm sorry to distract you.
No, I'm just saying, that was my main reason to come in today. is
But
on-
you know what, Scott, we can do that
Right,
with
I
the
can do that.
numbers, as long as you know that you guys are supportive of considering that change. We didn't wanna go to all the work with,
As far as I'm concerned, just personally as a select board member, it seems to me that the two most important, well, I don't wanna diminish what Dina does, but in terms of the actual day-to-day functioning of the town, the two of the most important functions we have are what, the work Scott does and the work Sean does.
absolutely.
I think those are sort of the top of my priority list, along with the municipal employees, so, you know, unless, I don't know how Ben feels, you know, if we're really trying to save money.
I wanna just say something with the whole, that with the ton trucks, if on a 7-year plan and warranties, there's gonna be less money spent on the capital, on the major repair fund thing. So you gotta balance out what you're gonna save, by having that, warranty on. So it makes sense to consider, the transition's gonna be the hard part, not whether we do it or not. I'm supportive of doing it. The big truck, that's a crapshoot. I think we looked at trying to get rid of it a few years ago and had no success.
Too bad, because Orford bought one like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, we called them right after they signed the contract.
I would like to, I think summarize, I think it's our consensus that we would like to support you in what you think is good, and you and Dina should work up that. We'll change the spreadsheet we have to reflect the 7-year plus warranty of the 1-tons,
Yeah,
and.
I mean, Dina's helped me tremendously on this stuff, I mean,
Yeah,
it just, to put it right, I mean, to present it to you guys the right way, I mean,
and I think it's a great recommendation, I think we all agree
I
that,
think we have numbers, if
Having-
you pull them together on what.
right,
So,
Well,
yeah,
and there's
I have-
also,
10 years
there's
ago.
also other options too. It's not just taking it out of the capital reserve fund, you know,
sure,
there's
we
other options
could
of
do
getting a,
loans.
like
or-
we did with the other vehicles, getting a loan, spread
Paying
it
it
out over
off.
7 years. You know, we have to
Yes, but
consider everything, and that's why.
first we need to look
Right,
at the repurchase or the
right.
replacement and get that up to date, and then we can look at both the capital reserve, putting money into
Right.
that, or getting a loan, depending on the cost of the
Mhm.
loan, and paying it the way we have the firehouse, the
Right.
fire truck, and some other
Right.
vehicles.
Right.
But-
And,
I'm
Okay.
sorry, go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt.
nope,
But from my perspective then, I would, what's hard is when you get it piecemeal.
mhm,
Like, oh, we wanna do the 1-ton truck. I think if we're gonna look at this rationally, what we ought to look at is, here's all the vehicles we have. Here's what we wanna replace, here's what we want, you wanna see the whole picture, you know, all of
I
it.
have a spreadsheet that has all the vehicles on it, and
Yeah,
it's spread
you
out
know,
over the years.
we're good with these three, this one is, gonna be, you know, and then we can kinda look at it as an integrated whole, as opposed to looking at little bits and pieces one at a time.
Yep,
one thing that happened to the ton trucks was a few years ago, I know, I'm sure Dina can go back and find it. They cut a big truck out, instead of buying a big truck, and they bought a ton truck, so that threw the big trucks all off. So now we're keeping the big trucks an extra 2 years.
and that's when they're,
And it, like,
Costly.
never should have,
before that, but yes,
Never
it
should
adds
happen.
on to the costliness of them.
okay,
But we can look at that too.
Phil,
I'm ignorant in a lot of these areas, but I don't know if there are equivalents between buying a Chevy and buying a Ferrari and things like trucks and police vehicles and et cetera. I've done a little research, for example, on a police vehicle. The state contract for a police vehicle is about $48,000. We're proposing to spend $77,000. That's $35,000 for lights and sirens and et cetera. Do we need $35,000 worth of lights and sirens and et cetera?
And computers and all the other stuff, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and I just don't, I want the highway department to have what it needs, and I want it to have solid stuff. And I don't wanna buy Ferraris if there is a solid alternative, and I simply don't know what we're going after.
right,
well, Ford does have
I'm sorry,
Ford does have the state bid.
Ford has a state bid, so you're working from that?
Yeah, I'm working off from that. I'd love to go Chevy or something like, else like that, but, you know, I just,
You're a Ford man.
I am, but I mean, they're cheaper. They're cheaper,
And, yeah, Ford has the state bid for the
Yeah.
police vehicles also.
Right,
so.
right. Well, isn't the Western Star supposed to be considered a better truck, but it's
I
not
would-
it's like the BMWs compared to the
Yeah.
Chevys.
I mean, it's like when I bought, you know, I was looking at the Western Star, flipping back and forth with you guys, and the Western Star was more money, and
How much more?
I don't remember what
I don't
that
know
was.
exactly.
Yeah.
But material, it's not a couple $1,000s.
No, it was like 8, probably, you know. But the more I looked at it, there was a lot of options I couldn't get in the Western Star that I could get in the Freightliner, so.
mhm.
um,
Well, and I think this conversation has been good, because I think it's good to hear from you, and it's good to know that all of those items are looked at before the proposal is put forward. It's not like we here said, you know, put the names in a hat and we'll draw one out and that's what we'll go with, so, the trust placed in you to be double checking and have Dina help you with that and know that this is gonna work for us.
I have, sorry, I have tried to get prices from HP Fairfields, and they never seem to get back to me.
Mhm.
I mean, I could push them again a little harder.
Well,
Wait,
there's-
who is HP Fairfield?
They're another body company. They're the
Okay,
only-
so just another competitive option
Yeah.
for, not for the truck itself,
No.
but for the outfitting of the
Body
vehicle.
part.
I mean, this was through, the truck was through Ford at Glenmont. I can try the one in Lebanon too. I can almost guarantee it's gonna be the same price. I
Same or
mean,
more,
Yeah, I'd rather shop local.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that makes sense.
Well, we don't have a proposal in front of us right now, do we?
No, we will,
Okay.
it will be upcoming, because it will be a warrant article in some fashion.
But this helps us get together on what you need to
That's,
present
Yes.
you know, I haven't,
for that.
You have support
I
for
haven't been
that.
able to
Move
talk
forward.
to you guys
Mm.
before I have the budget meeting, so.
Yep.
Does the truck have an alarm that tells you if you've left the window open?
Oh.
Who left the, oh,
That was his little jab.
good lord.
I don't know how we could live without that.
Judy
Okay.
needs another cup of
I
coffee.
do need another cup of coffee. It's really hard. Okay, well,
glad
now
we
you
have so
know,
much
I'm
fun.
sort of a slow learner. That was very clever, thank you, Dina. Scotty, thank you. Ben or David or Rich,
I mean, I'll get what
Bill?
you wanted. I just didn't know how to,
Yeah,
I gotta start somewhere, so.
this is good. No,
This is good.
actually, this is
Very
really,
good.
really helpful.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's nice to know before you go, put all the time in, we put all the time in,
Yeah.
that they're open-minded to consider.
Yes,
That's
and
right.
before we go,
We're open-minded, and I suspect that when we look at the repair bills from 7 years to 10 years, it's gonna justify changing to 7 years on more.
one other suggestion would be that, you're gonna create a plan that looks at the entire fleet but also look at it over a couple of years. I mean, ideally, it's easier, I think, for the town to tolerate, spreading changes out over 2 or 3 years rather than, let's do everything
He needs
this
a
year.
copy.
I
of
guess,
that.
where have you been?
He needs a copy of
I guess
that.
you've never looked at, or you don't remember the capital reserve sheet, and it goes,
It's a big
right now it
I
goes
know it has
to
that, but in
2032,
terms of what you
I
guys are
think.
gonna work on to
Right.
propose for the highway department,
Definitely.
you
Yes.
wanna see it over.
Break it
over-
out.
One thing I
Yes.
did do was I took, this stainless steel bodies,
Mhm.
if we go to a 7 year, I did it with the stainless steel, cause I feel like I can,
The body will go 7 years
this, the
before it
body
breaks
will go
down.
7 years.
Although,
There is a price down there for the stainless steel, it's 5,200
but
extra.
even then, does removing the stainless steel body cost you more than it saves you when you look at the the price that you're gonna get for the truck when you trade it in 7 years?
Having a stainless steel body might
Yeah, it-
make the
it
trade
would.
in a lot more.
Yeah,
So I did that, just to be
Yeah, I understand.
as low as,
Keep that price down.
right.
yeah.
But we should, it's not just the price
No,
we're
I
paying
agree.
now, it
I
should be
agree.
the price over
You
the,
don't wanna cut off your nose to spite your face, as my grandmother would have said.
Yep.
What else, Scott?
We done with the trucks then?
I think we're done with the trucks.
Okay. I did get a new proposal for paving the skiway.
we were gonna pay this.
It's Grafton's
Well,
Turnpike.
that turnpike.
That's really gonna upset
I was gonna say, don't.
Trucks up the slope.
Did you clear that with the powers that be?
Anyway, yeah,
Adam's gonna be really pissed when.
Yes,
and it was 80,
$88,616.
Okay,
So,
what's
Block
our
grant.
recommendation? It's the block grant money, right?
cause I've got everything else is done.
Okay.
And then you're talking about, to be clear, paving the Grafton Turnpike area that runs past the skiway.
Yes.
So right now, the pavement stops right as you get to the lodge, right? Or just a little
Just past.
Just past, and you
It's-
wanna take it up further up the hill, or?
Does it say on there how far? I think it does.
I mean, I ride my bike up there, so I know where,
I think it's just before where they cross the
yeah.
rumors.
What do you wanna do, what do we wanna do? We wanna extend that paving further up, or we're just
No,
talking
You gotta
about
replace the old
redoing
pavement.
the existing
road's
pavement?
gone.
Yeah, it is pretty chewed up.
It
Even
is.
on my mountain bike, I'm like, ugh.
And down where the guardrails are right now, the guardrails are like, yeah, they're gonna, I'm gonna run a curb down through there, to divert the water, and have a divert, and I think like four different places, just so it's not, so it don't end up eroding that bank somewhere else. The bank has been fixed. We put in 2 culverts,
You're gonna extend the road 180 feet up
180 feet up.
from where it is right now.
So we're gonna take the paving, we're gonna redo the paving and make it go further up the hill.
Redo what's there and make it go further up the hill, correct? Looks like the total amount is 1,820 feet.
And I went with a 2-inch shim rather than 1.5-inch shim, just to give it more.
What versus an inch and a half, 2-inch
I
shim?
went
Yes.
another 1/2 inch. And the overlay is 1.5 inches, I believe.
Inch and a half, yeah.
Have you, spoken to the skiway folks about any of this? Do they have any input on any of it, or they're good with it?
I talked to him about, I talked to Mark, he wanted a cost of them paving from our road to, just so it's a smooth transition
To their parking lot?
Yeah.
to their parking lot plus their walkway. Which he,
So they got a bid from
They got a bid
Blacktop for
from-
that, but that's their,
that's,
Okay, but they don't,
they can do
we got a little bit, at least I was a little bit surprised about some of the people who had strong feelings about the guardrail. I just wanna make sure that we're talking to the skiway folks and that we're not gonna go do this and they're gonna come back and go, why did you pay that? Now our parking is cut in half again.
no, it's no more than what's already paved.
Okay.
It was just,
And you met out there, you and Mark.
I talked to Mark and
They
I
all
talked to him about making a smooth transition rather than
An
having a
abrupt-
wicked lip.
What about the groomers? Now, they're gonna go across pavement or
No.
dirt?
No, you-
I'm
It's
stopping.
gonna stop
I'm
before the
stopping
groomers.
before.
Okay, thank you.
They say we put the under drain in.
Yeah, if you haven't been out, you should go out and look, it looks great, all the work those guys have been doing over the last, what, six weeks? Off and on, they've been out, they did have to close the road a couple times, but, you know, great.
With the under drain, you did hit water and got a lot of water flowing out of there.
It was right where the road was really busting up, so
So that was a good thing.
it was wet.
Ben, we still haven't, nobody's still addressed your fish problem, right?
Um, At least I know they made an effort. I got
Yeah,
probably, Fish and Game is too plugged up, fisheries is too plugged up with emails and stuff, so then when I get a chance to talk personally with them.
don't usually come on Thursday because of that,
Well, probably,
I'm just
Mark
looking to
did
see
make
how
it-
close they are to them. Not close at all.
can we write that into the contract?
It's almost done right
expressing a view on it one way or another, but there's folks on the Energy Committee who would like to see our municipal vehicles and or our police vehicles transition to electric. So,
And while you're on that subject, my understanding was the police cruiser is hybrid. And there are downsides to the electric portion because if it sits and idles for a long time, it drains it really quickly. And police vehicles sit and idle a lot. So an all electric vehicle might not be all that great.
yeah, and it doesn't surprise me at all, but
That's all I know.
You know, the state of Vermont, they're trying out some stuff. And they got electric backhoe right now, trying to escalate. And I think the run time is right around $5. And it takes like 12 hours to charge it.
So it's
I
not
don't
super
think we
great.
can do anything about that until there's better technology. Right now, you know, we just saw the electric vehicle sales crash
Yeah.
for a myriad of reasons, but there's no need of jumping into all this stuff.
I was talking to Rich from ATG, and out of so many vehicles, they're making them sell one electric vehicle out of their sales. There will be some.
Wait time will be 20 years.
I think that's all I have.
You should come visit more often.
that guy not so much.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. This
All right.
really is helpful.
Thank you, Scott.
I think that's everything, but trying to get caught up on a few roads and the washboarded on the hills, the chatter. There's really nothing I can,
Any impact on the opening of the Thetford Bridge from the highway department perspective? Is that gonna affect you guys? Is there anything you have to do or not do? Or?
It's probably gonna impact the fire department and police department more, especially the fire department if they do, support calls.
I mean, the only good thing is if you go over there, if we need to look down or something with those stairs
Yeah.
or something. So there is,
Some options that are closer to home.
you know, if we need it.
Excellent.
But no, I've been having Alan created.
Yes.
There
Today's
they go.
supposed to be the last
Yeah.
day of work.
They said it might open by noon today. That was the rumor.
I have a town resident who told me that he drove out there to just take a look at it 2 days ago and that it was just open, so he drove across, so.
Now, it
Is that a
has another
visual
2
thing or a
years,
moral
gonna
thing,
damage
or-
it.
Well, then he should be telling everyone, because he'd be the first one to cross it. Don't know who that'll be.
Okay,
No, it won't be me either.
me either. Thank you, Scott.
All right,
Very,
thank
very
you.
much. I look forward to we all look forward to, what you and Dina come up with.
When's the next budget meeting then? I would have to go to it.
Probably after Thanksgiving, I would think, because
Until we
next,
do the capital funds, right?
right, next week is the follow-up on the, town's plan, the operating budget,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, so, you know, you had that wonderful conversation with these guys, but we need to
Oh, we're
bring the
gonna,
budget back next, okay.
yeah, no, we
Good.
know that, that's on my agenda, we're not leaving here today
Oh,
to do that.
God, you guys are.
I guess the only other thing I had, how much did sand and gravel go up?
How much did it go up? Okay, yeah, I'll have to tell you later.
No, it's
It's
just
not
because
on
it
the
was,
top of my
it
head.
was still,
I don't think it went up a lot, but.
it was still in my budget as,
As what it was
Last
last year, I
Right,
think,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just pulled hold the numbers over.
What,
We can look at it.
all right, thank you.
All right,
Bye.
thank you. I think it was pretty much the same as last year. All right,
He increased on the trucking and increased on
yeah.
something else.
Okay, I wanna go through this. We have a non-public at 11:30.
Mhm.
And we have a legal either before or after that at 11:30. So before we do that, we need to go through here, and I really need you guys to walk through, or at least tell me what you think we should be eliminating in the budget. Do you wanna do that right now, or do you wanna wait and put it off till we've done some of the regular stuff?
Defer to you, Judy, whatever you think makes the most sense in terms of our use of time.
Well, I guess let's aim for 15 minutes from now, maybe we can walk through it, and I did wanna get to, let's talk about the software update, because that's also
Yeah,
really,
that's anxiety provoking, that whole situation.
yep. And I had a thought last night, I don't know, 1:30, 2 o'clock, almost called Dina. But
I might have been awake.
you probably were, but if we make this big change and we start getting this software, the Avatar, and we sign an agreement with Avatar to do the full update of the town, if they can begin to do it this year and have it completed by August of 26, I think that was the thing.
25th.
Is that the way we wanna go? To me, it seems like it's the best, I'd like to get them going. That way also, if they start doing things, I think our assessor for this year can stay under 20,000, because if he just does updates and new things.
Well, I'm 99.9% sure Avatar can't start this year.
You had mentioned the other
We
day
can
that they might
contract
be
them.
able to start.
We can contract them, but part of the reason that why they didn't bid the first time was because
They're busy
they
this year.
couldn't fit it into their schedule
But
this year.
that was a start and finish this year. If we can sign the contract, we can carry over money, which
Right.
is also a consideration.
Right.
But we could also get them sometime, maybe during the summer or the fall to start, and that way they can complete it.
In
within-
25, yes,
Start in
Yes.
25.
absolutely. You said
Yeah.
this year, so that's why I was confused.
I'm
Sorry.
looking at the budget year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes, 25, they would have to start in 25.
And they would have
get
to.
it done
in
in
20.
26. That's why we have to approve the money. If
Now,
we need extra money, either, right,
in this budget cycle.
correct, for 25.
I've reached out to Hanover, I've had a conversation with their town clerk, and I've heard from their assessing clerk. And she's gonna get me more information, but they are still on Vision, but they are also looking at switching. So,
Yeah, when you said that, I meant to call you back and tell you that they were Vision, not, because one of the guys
No,
that
no.
started Vision works for them. But we have talked to plenty, like I said,
Yep.
we've talked to Orford, we've talked to Canaan, we've talked to a bunch of
Yeah,
other,
I think
at
that needs,
the conference, we've
people
talked
need
to
to know
people.
that, yep.
Yeah.
So,
This isn't just a reach out
So-
and grab Avatar.
So our choices right now are continue with the reassessment using Vision,
Mhm.
but then that puts us in a bad position for switching software, which we wanna do. Or defer the reassessment for a year, switch over to the new software company who would do the reassessment, and then we're in a better position going forward because
It's all
we've-
fresh.
we've done the reassessment with the company that we're gonna be using for processing and inputting that data, and that's gonna work better.
Well, you would do it at the same time, the software switch would be the same time the reval is done.
But the cost of that, the real cost of that, is that it defers the reassessment for an additional year.
Right,
Well, that is the cost of it, but given this,
And there's monetary
given
costs
this
as well.
date anyways, to have it done in twenty-five, you would need to start now. You would need to have started, so it's
That's a piece,
So,
that,
wait,
it's
no,
wait,
already
wait,
too
wait.
late.
So are you telling me that Vision can't do the reassessment now anyways?
They could do it, but it's not gonna be for twenty-five, they wouldn't be done
It's
in
still-
twenty-five now.
Oh, so
It
then,
takes a long time to gather all the data, and now I didn't realize that it was quite a long, as long,
well, then that changes everything, because
it
then,
does change everything.
then there's no reason why we shouldn't, we should annul or withdraw our approval of the Vision
Right,
reassessment, and we ought to, so what will we do then? Do we have to re-put it out to bid again, or no?
you can do whatever you choose.
I don't think we have to, and I would personally, if this is what we decide to do, I would advocate that we sign a contract. We sign a contract for the software, we sign a contract for the full reval, and we take money at the end of the year that hopefully we have left in our operating budget this year to pay for that, so it's not a drain. That's a big chunk of cash for both of those that we can take care of this year.
To pay for the reval and
And the
the
software.
software, okay.
Yep, yep.
You wanna weigh in on this?
Yes, I do. It's okay.
Oh, yes, please, no, I was gonna go there
I
next.
mean, the person who's gonna be the most upset.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if you're the person who will be most upset by a deferral of the
Yeah.
reassessment, but you're definitely a representative of that group.
Of that community. Yes, so. I'm a software veteran. I've done a lot of software, I've done a lot of software conversions. They're not as easy as you hope.
Mhm.
Despite the kind words that come from the vendor. And so I'm a little concerned to say we're gonna just change everything. It makes it hard, but it's gonna be a lot of work. So that's my number one concern. I'm not sure if the town is budgeting enough. I mean, you may be budgeting enough to pay Avatar for the work that they're gonna do. I think there's gonna be a very significant cost on the town side for the employees, for to learn how to use this new system. And I think that's an important cost that I haven't seen budgeted yet.
And if I can just
Go ahead,
interject,
yep,
because I know
go
you
ahead.
have several concerns. We looked at this maybe 3 years ago, Dina, several years ago,
Yeah.
and we talked about switching. And at that time, we talked quite openly about the difficulty of making this kind of a switch. Software is always difficult, there are always little glitches, there's a lot of training that goes into it, and it's horrible for the first little bit of time.
Mhm.
So I think we understand that, and staff understands that,
Yep.
but just so you know, we're not totally, in a sense, that don't catch jokes, but we are somewhat that way.
Okay, good, but, I mean, that's part of my caution. The other is,
I mean, my point, not to put you on the spot, but specifically, if we were to plow ahead, full speed ahead with Vision, we might be able to get the assessment done a little bit sooner, maybe a year sooner, although maybe not, maybe it would still be it would still be completed. But, then we're left in a position, the town is left in a position where the person who's done, the company that's done the reassessment is done it in a way that isn't compatible with the new software that we want to adopt. And so that seems to me raises the concern that you're gonna have additional cost and additional friction in doing the transition to the new software. And that it sounds like what we're hearing is that it would be better to give up on that and just acknowledge that it's gonna take a year longer than we wanted, but we're gonna have the same company doing the reassessment as is as is providing the software that we're using, so maybe that reduces some of the transaction costs to the town associated with the change into the new software.
And any assessing company person, DRA person even, that you speak to about doing a software change, they say to do it the year you have a reval done.
Interesting, that's useful advice, not sure I would have expected that, because,
Well, and it has to do with how, this is what I understand, how various software calculate the assessment parts and the dollars. There's always rounding, there's always little things within the programming that are different.
I
So-
imagine there are different characteristics for all the camel parameters,
Exactly.
for bedrooms and marble counters and.
Yes, so it all,
acres.
so then it ends up that, let's say you get a tax bill for the exact same thing from Vision, and then 3 months later you get one from Avatar, and there could be hundreds, or maybe even up to $1,000 of assessment differences just because of those changes, and then it always creates a lot of havoc.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing we're gonna get when we have a reval done, so even if you could start earlier, let's say, at the end, whatever company does our reval can't finish until they've done all the abatements. So that drags it out even farther.
So
And you can't make that change to the software until all that's done.
You don't have the data to dump until all that's done.
That's right.
And David, you said that, you know, one of our options would be to continue with Vision for the reevaluation, but that would leave us in a bad position. Was there something else that you thought, so the concern was doing it with Vision crew leads to the kinds of things that Dina was
Yeah,
talking
leads to the kind of things, but I mean, Dina's now telling us is not the case, but prior to that, I was under the impression that we could get Vision to start sooner, and so maybe finish sooner. So,
Well, that was a new development, that's nothing that we kept.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Right, and that was actually to be my second question. We, back in the summer, said, no sweat,
right,
we'll get Vision on the case,
right.
they'll start real soon, and they'll be able to finish. Am I correct in understanding now that even if we told Vision,
Go.
let's go, we've allocated the money, year-end budget looks good, we've got the capital reserve fund, let's start next Monday, that they would in fact not be able to meet that proposal that they've given us?
That's-
Am I correct in?
I believe that that's what Dina was told.
My understanding is they would not be able to complete for the deadline for the taxes of 25. It has to be completed by the September 1st, well, prior to that, it's
Right,
like
exactly, and
August,
then you might
whatever.
like a day or two to look at the data.
Be
Oh,
really
what the
good,
heck.
and, you know, do the MS1 and all that stuff, so,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, the proposal didn't suggest that they were gonna finish until August 30th.
right, yeah, that
That's
was,
the original proposal
Yeah.
from Vision.
yeah,
That was their stop date,
in time for the MS1, that's right.
by a
right.
day.
All right, given what we've
I
heard,
can predict it.
my view is that we ought to just move forward with Avatar. I'd make a motion to that effect.
Okay, David, thank you.
So,
Second?
And further discussion?
I
well,
wanted to raise a question. I haven't seen a price from Avatar for the assessment yet.
No, we haven't gotten one yet.
I think before it's adopted, it would be nice to know that they're not $50,000 more than Vision or something. It'd be nice to know what the price is.
Well, you can just move to support going that way, you don't have to vote to,
You know, if
contract.
they're comparable, you know, terrific. If they're,
Yeah, I see.
you know, if it's buying the Ferrari, maybe we rethink.
Right, so I will amend the motion to say we will move forward with Avatar contingent on their, contract price. And we know the software price,
Mhm.
Yep.
okay? Then, all those in favor say aye.
David, aye.
Judy, aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's
I'm
do it.
sorry, it's so confusing.
Well, it was a real,
Complicated decision.
Yeah, it is.
and it was a very last minute, change from Vision that we hadn't expected. I think I heard about it at the beginning of the week, which is why I edged last
Right,
night.
I thought you did a good job last night. Actually, I did have one more question on Avatar. We currently enjoy free access to look at the Vision website. I
We
heard-
being the public.
We the public, yeah, we the public. I heard a rumor that you have to pay to use the Avatar public.
No,
So-
there's a web host that we have, we would have just like Vision. You can get a subscription to pay and get more detail.
Oh, okay.
But why would you do that when you can ask us for a card, you know?
Right, so so
You
that
get
we would have
basic.
substantially what, the same kind of access to the Avatar data as we do through the Vision website?
I'm not sure that I would be able to compare it right now, but I do know that Jordan and I were just reading about that the other day, about they have two different levels,
Mhm.
but the basic level is, you know, you get to see who owns the property, the details of the size of it, the assessment, it's separated by building and land, you know, it shows current use, so it's pretty much what you get from Vision.
Well, I mean, Vision.
I mean, Vision doesn't have,
Yeah,
Vision doesn't have any of, like, our notes that are on the property, it doesn't have some of the specific stuff, so Avatar wouldn't have that stuff either.
and then maybe I'll ask you after, what about the subscription plan too?
What about it?
Pricing and that kind of detail.
Oh, for somebody to have a, yeah,
Individually?
I don't know what that
But,
is.
yeah, we can
I
look
I
into
won't
that.
take this time meeting.
If you could make a note that, let's see if we can get a proposal that we can sign and move on, and so we can get them lined up and we can have some numbers.
Yes, I actually just emailed them this morning and told them we needed it ASAP because of budgeting, so.
Yeah, thank you.
And also, maybe presumably, if now we know we have a year delay, we can get the output of their reevaluation a little sooner. That gives people time to look at it and we can get comments. Or
And if
we have time to look at it, we're not getting it the day, the week before we
Yeah,
have
if we
signed
can get
it
it
as one.
like in July, so we can look
Yeah.
at it. And
Yeah.
we think, you and I need to go through, but we think we do have the money to pay for that so we can start. I'm sure there's a deposit or down payment or contract, whatever. You're looking at me like I'm not making
No,
sense.
no, yeah, I just gotta,
Okay,
I gotta get the bid from, the estimate from them
Yep.
yet, so,
Okay.
but yes.
all right, let's do the minutes from October 31st and November 6th. November 6th was that extra meeting we had. What do we wish to do with these minutes?
I'll move them. And you got the couple of changes I sent, they're really
Yeah.
nothing.
Yep. So David moved, Ben seconded. Any further comments on them? They were okay? All those in favor say aye.
Then,
David and I.
Judy, aye. Okay, those are approved. And we've done the manifest, it circulated around. We have a letter of support for the USDA Solid Waste Management Grant application. And it is for the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission.
What do I do with that letter?
Here's the letter.
Oh,
You want to have
phew,
a look at it?
I was like,
Do you
oh, I
want-
had one printed out for you guys to sign.
Oh, well,
That's what I'm looking for. Here, sorry. Yeah, this is, Vicki Davis. She's worked for them for a long time, she does their grants. And each year we get the opportunity to support the next grant they're doing. You're just looking for, it's not committing the town to anything.
It's saying we support your proposed projects and hope to participate to provide, this project is food scrap technical assistance and training, school chemical safety training, household hazardous waste and collections training, municipal waste management technical assistance and training. And if we vote for that, you have a letter we can sign.
I do, somewhere.
Okay,
I'll move it.
Second,
thank you, David, thank you, Ben, all those in favor say aye.
then
Aye.
And Judy, aye. So, Upper Valley, Lake, Sunapee, RPC grant.
Perfect.
Okay. And then, moving right along, we have an intent to cut for Ethan Ball, map 410, 19 Bear Hill Lane. Did you have a chance to look at that, Ben?
yeah,
Can you advise us on that?
yeah, contractor's sketchy
No comment.
and the volume is huge. No, it's fine.
I'm gonna tell him you said all that.
Jesse Cutting,
Yes.
estates contractor. That's a familiar name.
Jesse does good work, 15,000 feet is not very much. It's not a very big lot, so
Okay.
it's just making some space around, what is it, four tenths of an acre?
410, yeah.
Okay, so I will move this approval of the intent to cut. I think we usually, don't we,
Mhm,
formally
yep,
approve them? I
yep.
need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ben. David, all those in favor say aye.
Then
David, aye.
And Judy, aye. Okay, so then we have periodically, I'm not sure what the law says, but there is a law that pertains to when two towns have a joint property line, there needs to be a perambulator who walks
Isn't that a great word? I
the
love it.
property line. It always used to be Dick Jones, but I think that Dick is probably not gonna wanna do
No,
it.
he isn't.
So, any ideas on who might like to be our perambulator?
Margaret
I'm
walks a
sorry,
lot.
wait, this is so
I'm going
ridiculous.
to.
What is it exactly that this person does? They just walk
Together,
the
they
property?
walk the property line,
with the
they
neighboring
laser.
town
You
What
do-
for?
You have a
to
represent,
establish it.
you remark the lines to make sure that they don't get lost.
They're for
Orford-
us.
Orford
They
is
can
the
disappear
only
easy.
town-
You know, we have these things called satellites, GPS now, like,
Okay.
it's
It
not
doesn't
some
matter.
dude
We don't
walking
have-
out in the forest, it's
we
gonna
don't-
delineate.
With a stick.
We don't have to have a perambulator, you can just tell Ernst and his wife to go do it. So,
Oh,
the
I like
last,
that.
the last couple times, Andrea Colgan has done it. And then
Well, look, if somebody wants to do it, I don't have
Right,
any
I
objection,
thought
it
I
just
would
seems
ask.
silly to me.
I thought I would ask the Conservation Commission to see if there was anybody that was interested.
I support
If-
that.
if-
But
we've
if
got-
nobody's interested, you know, it's
Ernst wants to
not
do
the
it?
end of the year,
No,
end of
it's
the world.
not Ernst.
Chase, Chase is the one, sorry, Chase is the one from Orford.
From Orford, yes.
I don't imagine
Oh.
Ernst wants to do it with his father, no.
No, I don't suppose so either. Okay, so this is this letter
Well,
that
it's not a big deal.
notice is given that it's time in 2025.
Right.
Oh, in 2018 it was last done,
Yeah,
7 years.
yeah.
Okay,
I
so
just know if I didn't ask you and
we're
get
gonna put
direction,
Dina in charge.
Chase would be after me.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Put a note on the list and have a whole crowd of folks come for a walk.
Bring your
15 people.
water.
The
and your
materials that we got that talked about it
Okay.
said that it's actually fairly arduous, that
Oh,
you're
I'm
walking
sure.
through areas, it's not like there's a trail that runs
Yeah,
around the
swamps
boundary, you're
and
walking through
wetlands,
swamps and.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's very specific to make sure he gets right, somebody who's prepared.
Then you could train a bear to wear a GPS and.
The GoPro.
Okay, yes. and we've done that, and we've done that. Let's take 10 minutes. Are either of you prepared to walk through this budget? Or, I did hear mention that you wanted to see it at 3.3%. Let's,
I was just looking, at 10%, it takes 7 years to double the budget.
okay,
I'm gonna use the restroom.
okay,
I'll come back, I'm
So
happy to go
at
through this.
5%, it would take 14 years,
okay,
it would stretch it out. All I'm saying is, don't be too anxious to stick with your number.
okay, so that's a good calculation. But did you look through and see where you could reduce
Well,
this by half?
Well, I would be looking at, I just went through the whole thing, but we can go through it again.
Do you want a copy of the budget? Okay.
The only person on,
Zoom,
Zoom is Jordan, so
okay,
I took that off and I'm gonna find it.
okay.
There's a contingency that, in the executive budget,
Yeah,
that 000's been spent, so why don't we go with 0?
so you wanna,
That's $1,000.
yeah? Okay. That's line 16,
Yeah,
okay? Even though I took a heavy hit last night for nitpicking $10 here, $1,000 there, I like your thinking, so keep going.
What are we doing here? Just
We are going through sort of line by line very quickly to see where either of you or anyone in the room thinks that there's a place to cut, with a goal of getting to.
What is the select board supplies?
It's all our office supplies for
Okay,
the select board office. And for other
Yeah.
offices that snitch stuff too. Just saying.
We're small enough that we share.
does it really need to increase 20%?
Paper's
Well,
gone
we're
way
gonna
up.
be over this year. Cause I have a huge bill that we still haven't paid. Not huge, but,
so we got a meeting,
but you can cut it.
town clerk meeting, seminars,
Yeah,
you take 500 out of that.
okay. That's line 28.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where did you put it? You took the 1,000 out of contingency, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm just trying to do this so you can have a number. And on this one that I have up, I went through and took out the 12.9 for the software.
Supervisor,
Times two.
checklist, payroll.
I'll tell you that.
Okay, yep. Supervisor of the checklist. Payroll
Why
is
you
line
getting rid of that?
41.
That could take 800 out of that.
Really? What are
Well,
you gonna pay 'em with?
oh, you spent it one year, but
Well,
Um,
there was 4 elections that year, so
So we will need.
yeah, but you didn't spend it the other year, so.
the year before it was only 101, right?
Right.
Thank you. You're sweet.
So there will be elections that we will need to pay these people, but there'll be
Mhm.
town meeting and some other things.
Next year, in '25, it'll only be the town meeting,
So
Produce it then,
so there is only
how about
one.
500?
okay?
And yes, Dina is gonna go through and take out the assessing number software twice, 12/9 twice,
Mhm.
but the yearly support should probably be left in, because that's gonna be a
Well,
continuing.
I
thing.
put in what the yearly support
Yep.
would be, yeah,
Okay. So, keep going, Ben, David, you chime in anytime.
Does the legal expense include, what was voted on at town meeting for cleanup?
Uh,
no.
no, and we'll be able to use that money this year for any expense when we break it out that is related to the cleanup.
Yes.
But there's several other issues going forward.
Do we need it at 75,000, or since 60,000 was appropriated?
Yeah, but we've already spent 72 this year.
Keep budgeting $3,000 for radio repairs and not spending any of it. On
For the
fire-
police?
Fire.
Fire,
Are we gonna leave the legal at 75? Sorry, I just wanna get that correct.
I don't know, David, what do you think? I think we should. I think 60,000 won't cover.
Yeah,
I think it's stiff for lawyers.
Okay, so then, you popped way over to
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah, you're going too fast.
Yeah, don't miss the other things you should look at here.
Okay. Planning and zoning was at 5.
And that was already cut from.
We cut a good bit out of that. From, he had 7.6, we're down to 5.52. Well, the mileage is rarely used. So we could cut that in half, just to leave something in that line. Gasoline's going up.
In mileage for. planning and
Mileage
zoning.
is 88, line 88,
So where do you want that at?
100. Doesn't make a
Did you
big
cut the
difference.
ZBA recorder? Yeah, you
Yeah, we cut the ZBA recorder back to
Yeah.
900 from,
what is line 183? Other public safety, including communications.
did. It's
Oh.
all of our dispatch for fire, police,
it's
Um,
also a part-time
alarm.
prosecutor.
And that's really going up 22% from last year?
That's what Hanover said.
What line are you on, Judy?
That is
he
line
jumped ahead.
183, he
Yeah,
jumped
he's-
ahead to
He's
page
going a little
5.
fast for me.
So go back to line 98, that's your general government, you haven't looked at that yet.
Okay. So,
Really, the only increase is the payroll and the operation of the academy building.
the academy building is getting more use, so it's costing a little more money. Cemeteries went up.
Why do we have that building?
It's a historic schoolhouse in the
Town of
town,
Lyme.
and a number of years ago, several individuals spent a whole amount of time fundraising, private donations to refurbish it and bring
It's the
it,
one in Lyme Center?
yeah,
Well, why do we have it?
nostalgia.
Because of,
It's history.
Why don't we sell it?
who are you gonna sell to?
Oh,
A buyer?
Historian?
CLL.
Like just
Whoever wants to buy it.
historians?
We have a building we
Or
don't
maybe
need.
CCL wants to buy it.
We
They
don't
do,
buy,
they
we
said
don't
they
use
did.
it, we
Really?
don't,
Well, because the town wouldn't go for it.
well, okay, fine, that's fine, but, I mean, we have a building that we're, the town of Lyme owns essentially an office building that it doesn't use and doesn't need, and that's probably worth $1 million.
I will tell you that the town should not be in the practice of being landlords.
Yeah, and so what do we
It's
do with
not
it?
our
We rent it out
business.
and people forget
Not
to
our
tell us that
business.
their pipes are leaking, we have
Right.
damage, we
Yes,
gotta.
I know.
That's not a proper government function for us to be owning that. I would propose that we do a warrant that says we propose to sell it, just put it on the market and list it.
You-
People will vote it down if they wanna vote it down. You probably get $1 million for that building, and that would be a huge, I mean, you know, we're talking about shaving $500 off the fire department's budget here. That doesn't move the needle at all.
Yeah.
This would move the needle.
Yep.
And maybe CCL would buy it.
Well,
If they wanna buy it,
They
you know,
floated that.
or
Didn't you hear
there's
them
all
say
these
they
people
wanted
who-
to
No, I
buy it?
didn't.
at the
Is that
zoning
interesting?
commission, there's all, the planning commission, there's all these people who are, running around with their hair on fire about how there's a housing crisis. Somebody could buy it and turn it into apartments.
If the zoning people would allow it, and the planning
I was
people
just
would
gonna
allow it,
say,
but yes.
yeah.
you can.
Okay, I
But
think we
Not our
can talk
problem though,
about
why,
doing-
we shouldn't be,
We
like, I
shouldn't own
don't
a
like
lot
the
of
fact that we
property.
have all this property that we rent out to people, that's not, it takes
Just like this
administrative
stuff.
time, it
It costs
imposes
us money,
costs.
yep.
We gotta insure the stuff, we're not really very good at being landlords, we should sell it and take the money and use that to reduce the tax burden.
Here, here,
It'd be an interesting proposal to put as a
Yeah.
motion in front of the town.
yeah.
And say, look, you wanna cut $1 million off your taxes, sell this building.
Yeah,
Can I get permission from the board to just have a realtor look at the building and tell me
Sure.
what they think it would
Sure.
list for?
sure.
Ben, is that okay?
No?
No, I don't think it's a good idea.
Well,
Walk around the outside. Don't go in.
Well, it's a public building.
Well, yeah. It's food for thought.
Yeah.
yeah, you know what, the people in the town might not think it's a good idea too,
I
it's fine,
don't think they
but,
will, but the other one that, if we're really gonna be serious, is to subdivide the little house next door here.
yeah, that's more complicated because we share septic and
Right.
water.
That is complicated, but it also could provide some nice income, and then we wouldn't have to, all we'd
Yeah.
have to worry
I'd be
about,
more supportive of doing something with this building than,
yep, that
Well,
one,
and you talked about moving it, and
We
you talked
talked
about
about
some other
moving it.
things that
Yeah.
haven't really gone anywhere, but.
yep.
Yeah, I like that idea better about moving it,
Focus.
moving the,
I really like that
across the
idea.
street and then
Yeah.
severing it and selling it.
Right. Is that-
But,
line 135,
Oh, God, he's whipping ahead.
Good,
general government,
135.
yep,
Yeah.
13.58% increase.
yep, that's the new,
Where are you?
person.
Hmm?
It's the general, subtotal for general
He's at the
government.
subtotal, yeah, it's down to 10 now, 10.9.
So,
So what's the explanation for it?
That's all those above things.
that's a
That's
subtotal.
the sub-
That's the
Why is there-
subtotal.
Why is there the increase on it?
because we have an additional person
Uh-huh,
and other additional costs as we
Right.
went along.
right.
You could look, the cemetery trustees suggested, the sexton stipend go up, but there are much increased duties there. So that's a big jump, they're up 14.7. We certainly want people, we've got a software system now installed, we've got tracking to do, there's a lot more work than it used to be just getting the backhoe in and digging a hole.
point of information.
Yes, sir?
There's $1,200,000 in the trust fund for the cemetery. Can they not use that to pay the sexton?
No? I think that is earmarked
No,
towards
that's
cemetery
perpetual
maintenance.
care, it has to be perpetual
Okay.
care, so it has to
Yep.
be.
That's a
yeah.
good suggestion.
That is, yeah.
Okay, so next up is police, right?
Yeah, cause in your insurance, there's no place to cut it, and advertising and dues, there's no place to cut.
Yep, and that's not an increase, well, insurance is an increase. We have more equipment, more expensive equipment.
So Judy, could I ask about how I wasn't quite sure what the situation is for the police staffing in this next year.
Okay,
Sean's gonna work, is intending to retire relatively soon.
June.
In June, okay. And we have a sergeant right now.
Yep,
And did I understand that there was somebody identified as a patrolman that could come in?
that, yes,
Or first thing next year?
that is
A possibility.
a possibility.
Okay, so I
Thank
mean,
you.
so this budget is built around that.
This budget is built around that. Sean going full-time 6 months, the sergeant that's here now going the full year.
Yep.
And this other person who's going to be coming in, probably starting in January. The individual being looked at is already certified as a police officer, working as a police officer, but not in New Hampshire, so there
Yeah.
has to be some certification there.
Yeah.
And then the question is, depending on how all of the shift changes go, if Sean might work part-time each week, or if things are going well and he's not needed, he's very happy to be on call when needed. So
Okay.
there could be savings there if he doesn't work that additional 6 months part-time.
That's what I understood, thank you.
You're welcome.
If I could ask the general question, why does a town of 1,700 people need a $400,000 police department?
Well, it's more like a 300 and something police department, but it needs 2 full-time officers. We don't have 24/7 coverage, but we do have pretty good coverage for most of the time. And one person and a part-time person doesn't really, isn't sufficient for what we need. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And once everybody's outfitted and we have our vehicles and everything, it's a little bit less, but it's an expensive department.
Well, it all depends on if Sean uses the full 6 months too.
Right, that's true too.
I mean, if
If
that's
we
cut,
could,
I cut it back here a little bit on this one that's showing up there, so it's 205, 540, but Sean, you know, like I said, I don't know.
instead of 228, so it's
Yeah,
$20,000
Yeah.
savings there.
yeah,
And those salaries are for 3 full-time officers and then 2 full-time officers.
And one part-time.
Yeah.
And certainly, we would anticipate that we could reduce that, but we do need the funding there in case we can't. Lyme
And
is-
it's also a transitional budget a little bit
Right.
because,
Yeah.
you know, what we're doing is transitioning from one chief to another, and so you have some overlap and some redundancy. That's expensive, but it's probably beneficial too, because that permits the old chief to transmit information and knowledge and experience to the person who's taking over the job over some 6 or 8 months or a year or whatever it
Is
takes.
Anthony was anticipated to move up into the chief's position?
No, it's,
Yeah, it's still,
Yes, Phantom.
yeah,
Anthony,
okay, I'm
Anthony,
sorry.
yeah,
Not
it's-
used to.
we call him Tony, yeah,
Tony,
Tony?
Tony, yeah,
yeah, that's the plan. Anticipation.
right. And like I said last night, they, this is not a final thing. The next year, in 26, there will not be 3 full-time police officers. It's 2 full-time.
Which means certainly there won't be 24-hour coverage, but there is, more coverage.
It's amazing the amount of things that happen in the evening.
Mhm.
Yeah. I used to work in health emergency services.
Yes, you know how that
this
is.
well.
So, that brings us to fire. This is where David was a bit ago.
Go back.
Ben,
What?
get your pen out. Okay. So, the department presented a 38.6% increase. Dina and I whittled that down
Yep.
to 7.38%. And you had a question about this, David, before.
It was was it 168, the radio repair?
Radio
Yeah, radio
repairs.
repairs, where we're budgeting $3,000 every year and we don't spend any of it. Maybe we could take that down to 2,000 or 1,500 till they actually need the money.
Yeah, I like that. Let's make it 1,500.
What was the line item?
168 radio repairs in the fire department.
So what does it go down to?
It's-
15.
1,500?
Yep. And you'll notice, I'm sure you noticed, but under administration where they asked for, they went from 2,500
9,300,
to 93, 96, yeah. We put them down to 5,000.
That's also,
We also did the chief's salary. They went from 8,000 to 20,000 and we reduced that to 10.
But you added on the administrative person with that. reflect-
Well,
she put it down.
I took the administration down, but I made the note that if there's additional, we're hoping that this additional person that's coming into the office would be able to learn to do the inputting of the runs and the information that they wanted that extra money for.
Well, the fire department likes to spend money.
Yes, and when we come to trucks and such, they are looking for some things happening there, but I don't know that it's gonna. Okay. Then highways and streets. Let's see, that 6.71 total for highways and streets. Oh. Roadside mowing, we have a letter here
Put
about
it
it,
in there, yeah.
20.
It's the same bid as last year,
Okay,
so it's not an increase.
great, thank you. Solid waste. Keeping going down to page 7.
Now, the only thing I can say about this page,
Mm-hmm.
without making Matt too nervous, is the recycling. You know, they keep having recycling by they, I mean, the recycling people like Casella keep telling him to figure it out much higher. And of course, it depends on the rate and all this stuff, so there's a lot of stuff hanging out there, but it,
Yeah, he,
you know, it doesn't look like they're gonna, I don't know where he's gonna end up this year, but I don't believe.
Well, and we did raise the price of the stickers, I believe, last year, so I hesitate to do it again, but that is a offset.
Well, it is, but it isn't, because yes, it's your offset, but it doesn't reflect on this budget.
Right.
On that percentage.
Right.
So you can always take the
We
recycling
can, when
down
we look at that.
if you want.
Our health agencies are the same. Parks, let's see, the health officer. Parks and Recreation is 2.9%. The library is adjusted slightly from what you may see there, down to 3.07%. The library director's wages were reduced.
To 71,417.
1/7.
And I also took out the pond program coordinator
Oh, and under
and
recreation.
each pond program staff.
Okay, so we're thinking that that's not gonna happen.
Saying it's not confirmed yet, but if it does happen,
We'll have to find it somewhere else.
or that, or it'll be a sign up through the rec commission
Okay,
on the Dennis Fair site, and so that funding would go other places.
okay. So what are we looking at, unless you guys see something else?
The only other thing I could say in that area is the monitors. You wanna keep the monitors.
I think the monitors have helped.
Okay.
We still get people parking on the boat landing, walking over to go swimming.
Yep.
I think we would have a lot more if we didn't have monitors. I don't think the lifeguards should be the ones querying people about whether they're residents or not. That's my personal opinion. I think it's up to Ben and David how they feel about that. And Phil and Rich, if you have thoughts on that.
Did we ever get a summary of the number of people that use the beach and this kind of stuff?
Oh, I don't think so. Do we have that?
I mean, you don't have, obviously you don't have it.
I haven't put anything together, but I can
Our head
look for that.
lifeguard may have left.
They, well, they have slips that they fill out every day.
Yeah, I mean, but the monitors, did we have records from the monitors because?
The police has they have records, cause they go to the police department, and it stays there unless there's, he uses them if there's a problem, then he gets rid of them,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know number of cars, in-state, out-of-state, or, whatever characterization. I'm not looking to make this somebody's life work.
That's good. That's another person.
Really, yeah, but, just how much does the beach get used and, how, do the monitors ever turn people away?
Yes, they
They
do.
do.
Do they?
It gets
Yeah.
used a lot, and yes, they do.
Okay.
In July mostly. July is the heavy month.
Right.
By August, it really,
August
Peters
lightens up a
down.
little bit.
people are going away.
Yeah.
So, we can shoot a note over to the police department, see
Okay,
if someone
alright.
can report generally. We is the Royal.
Well, and I think I'll look at the lifeguard stuff too, because they're there from 11 to 6, and the monitor is not there from those hours always. They're there for a 3-hour here and a 2-hour there, and, because he hops around, so.
My next question is, every year we have money left over that's unspent.
Right,
What's the average of that over the past few years? And my suggestion is that we remove a percentage of that from the bottom line budget.
so this year and last year, but this year in particular, I have this in my head, we're talking about using extra money to pay for the software avatar, the upgrade, and for the cost of the reval. So we don't need a warrant article and we don't need it in the operating budget, so that's coming out. I think I looked very quickly at it, and I think there might be something in the realm of $200,000. A big chunk of that came from the police department because we thought we were gonna have this whole retirement and 2 officers moving in last year, and that didn't come to fruition. Of course, I can't find my note from last night.
I think it's
I think it
too
was,
early to
but,
know
right,
how
we
much
don't
you're gonna
really
have.
know, but yeah, the police department looks to have
Well, I was
extra.
just looking at the average of a few years and
Yeah.
knocking a percentage of that off the bottom line of the budget.
Last year, I,
But can you do that? You can't, you have to take it off of individual line items, you
Yeah,
can't.
well,
well, no, you don't take it off individual line, you take it off the bottom line, but you look at the individual departments to see who's got
Yeah,
extra.
but you're not really taking it off.
You're,
I don't
you're
understand.
But no,
spending it for
what
other
he's saying
things.
is, look at this next 2025 budget, and whatever the average is that was left,
Yeah, no, I get
take
that,
that
but,
off the bottom line of this,
but
but
what
you
does that
can't.
mean? That means that you've given all of these individual people and departments a budget, and if they hit your budget, then that savings disappears.
You have to go through this individually, line by line, and find where you wanna take that amount from.
Yes.
You're not,
but, all right, well, let's put it in different words. Find out what that amount is, and that's our target on what we should try to remove from the budget.
Well, see, I understand what you're saying, I
I'm
disagree
just
with
trying to
that.
use different logic.
Yes.
Because at the end of the year, we get non-budgeted money to spend.
And what it does, it buys those things either from this year that we couldn't buy that people wanted, like we bought a big full-size printer.
Yeah, but we didn't buy the repair package for it.
okay, that's a different
That's a
subject.
different story. But then for this year, at the end of the year, we have at least 150,000 that we can spend now instead of next year in our budget. So we can make budgets, we have in the past, made them so close that in December, we weren't sure we could actually come up with the payroll. So we don't wanna be there, so somewhere in between.
Yeah, when you get down to $9,000, Dina starts getting really nervous.
'Cause-
That's happened before.
So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, question. I'm not working as fast as you guys are on this, I haven't been through it before. But I noticed that there's a total of 7.15 increase in highway. And there are lots of line items here that are 8%, 6%, 7.5%, 16.67, 80%. I'm sure that, Ben, you're much more up on what this stuff ought to cost than I am. Just from a consumer perspective, it's, why are all these lines items up this percentage compared to everything else in the budget? And would somebody go through that stuff with a fine tooth comb?
We've done it once, we can do it again because, his budget came in at 7.1% increase, and we reduced it down to 6.71. He did tell us that the vehicle maintenance and repair, the cost of parts, the cost of labor, all of that has gone up considerably.
And those we're trying to address with his proposal.
Right,
Say that again,
We're trying to address those, well, Scott's trying to address it with a proposal of buying trucks with warranties on them, so you're not spending the money
Okay.
And the
going
equip-
out the window with repairs.
But until the warranties kick in, you still gotta have
we've
your
gotta
repair.
have the money for
right.
that.
Yeah.
So we're in transition there.
Yes, equipment rental went up, we reduced it down from what he thought he was gonna need, but he needs, there are times he needs to rent equipment, and those costs have gone up every year. That's the big, and payroll.
And I saw, speaking of payroll, I saw some are like 8% and some are like 3.5 or 4. And what's the difference there?
The difference is this year we actually did merit increases. And there was the basic CPI increase of, I think it was 3.3%, and other people got more than that.
Okay, so
So
these are
it's-
a result of merit increases, and then I think I heard you say that we had not given merit increases in the recent years, am I
Yes, you
remembering
heard
right?
that. We decided in past years that everyone was hardworking. I, for one, get very uncomfortable judging people individually on what their worth is. And so everybody got the same percentage raise in past years.
We also had situations this year where we had people who were relatively new,
Mm-hmm.
who
Yes.
started out at
Very low rate.
a pretty low rate of pay, and so they've been working for a year or two and really sort of proven themselves and/or acquired additional technical expertise and knowledge and experience that makes them more valuable.
Okay.
And so I think we felt, in several instances, we felt that these are people we don't wanna lose, and we needed to bring them up to a more.
And this is where I say, I'm not competent to run this town. You guys are thinking about this, and, you know.
We're not competent either, but.
Well, I've been wearing my budget committee hat here, I find that explanation really helpful to say, well, yeah, in the past, everybody got kind of like all raised up at the same, and this year, we're doing these different
Well,
things, and there's a
I
reason.
mean, just in the highway, there was one individual that was hired at a low rate. Scott didn't have a lot of confidence in him when he was hired, it was
Mhm.
about the choice he had, and he turned out to be exemplary. And
So pay them some more money.
so you pay him some more money.
Yeah.
I
Hope
think
to
that's
keep
in,
them.
yeah, we wanna keep them. We have a highway department right now that's functioning well.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
cohesive. There's good support back and forth.
And believe me, that, you know.
We've had the reverse.
We've had horrible highway departments, you know, I remember the days of,
Joe?
an hour and a half truck cleaning,
Okay.
before getting in the trucks and going off and doing anything,
Well,
and, you know, recently, or in the past couple of years, it's, you know, after Scott took over, it was, you know, we know what our job is, we get there, we jump in the trucks and go, and there's no trouble, so. And
You hope that competence is shared, that everybody has something and they build something, and that's why you do stuff together. If it works, it's like you're building
Yeah,
something up in the air.
and we have experienced that now. We've
Yeah.
experienced the opposite in the past, and it's really difficult. I'm gonna have to say that we have a call coming in that's our first non-public that was supposed to happen half an hour ago.
so are we spending more money on lawyers again?
So I would like to say that I'm gonna move to go into non-public session under RSA 91-A, colon 3, Roman numeral 2, little letter C,